Coach's Corner for any surface and every season. Continental Tire Coach's Corner will bring us Doc Rivers. There's a Continental Tire that delivers superior performance and unparalleled safety. Give your vehicle an upgrade with Continental's maximum performance tires. For more info on the tire that's right for you, check out ContinentalTire.com. From speedway to driveway, Continental puts you in the driver's seat. Doc Rivers, Clippers head coach, joining us on the program. Doc, you grew up in Chicago. Were you a White Sox fan?
This has been very difficult for me, Dan.
Why?
Well, I'm cheering for the Cubs, and it's not been easy.
You could just say, look, you're a White Sox fan and you can't root for them. If you're going to root for a National League team, you're rooting for the Dodgers. That you could do that. Cub fans would respect that.
Yeah, I know it, but it's a great story. And I do know Joe Madden a little bit, even though my very good friend is on the other team, the coach of the Indians, Terry Francona, and we got to know each other really well when we were in Boston. But, you know, it's Chicago. I'm from Chicago, and I think it'd be good for the city.
Did you go to White Sox games?
Yeah, I went to a lot of White Sox games. Comiskey, old Comiskey Park.
Do you have a favorite?
You know, the worst trade the White Sox ever made, do you know that, what it was?
No.
They let Harry Carey go to the Cubs. And that's a fact.
Did you have a favorite White Sox player growing up?
Dick Allen.
Oh, man. He was scary.
That bat was bigger than me.
I know. He must have had one of the biggest bats to ever play in Major League Baseball, or the heaviest.
Ever. It was amazing he could swing that thing. I think he ruined a generation of kids. We all used like the 35. We struck out. It was great.
You would carry it up to the plate like it's a club.
Oh, my goodness. It was unbelievable. Everyone in my neighborhood used a bat too big, and we couldn't hit. Go figure.
And he would be smoking cigarettes in the dugout. I love those the white with the red pinstripe uniforms that the White Sox had.
That was with Bill Veeck as the owner. You know, they had shorts. You remember they broke out the shorts one night?
That was bad. That was bad. That was Greg Luzinski and Harold Baines.
That's exactly right. George Orta.
Were you a Bulls fan at all growing up?
I was actually a Knicks fan growing up. You know, I would be like, I guess in today's generation, if LeBron James and Dwayne Wade were your two favorite players and then they played on the same team, you would have become a Heat fan.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was Earl Monroe and Walt Frazier. And when they were traded, when Earl was traded to the Knicks, for me as a kid, I literally almost lost my mind. Like my two guys were going to be on the same team.
And people wondered if that backcourt could work because, you know, you had Earl that had to have the ball. He was a scorer, and, you know, Clyde being one of the great point guards in NBA history. But what's the role that the coach plays when you have two stars on a team? I mean, we've seen this with Oklahoma City, with Westbrook and Durant maybe didn't get along. Now Golden State's got all of these players. What's your job when keeping everybody happy when you got a couple of guys who have to have the ball?
The job is to get them to focus on why they're playing, you know, their goals. And, you know, it's almost like when we got Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and Kevin, we got them at the right time, Dan. They were ready to win. So it was easy. And I thought Red Osman did the same thing with Walt and Earl. They were ready to win. They had played forever, and it was time for both of them to win. And so it was easy.
But do you think that Durant, what role do you think you got to win championships to be considered one of the great players of all time? What role do you think that played in LeBron going to Miami and Durant going to Golden State?
Well, it probably played a big role. But there's really nothing wrong with that when you think about it. I mean, you should want to win a title. But, you know, I've always laughed. I was an average player. I wanted to win too. You know, it wasn't just the stars. You always, you know, it's funny when we won the title, and I think it was Eddie House in 2008. Someone asked him, "Aren't you happy for Kevin and Paul?" And Eddie says, "I'm happy for Eddie House." you know, it's not just those three guys, and so, but it is good. You should want to win. you should want to win in the way you want to win, and that's how LeBron wanted to do it, and that's how Durant wants to do it. It's our job to try to make them not do it. That's the Clippers' job.
We hold on to our childhood memories, and whether it's a player or a team, and I maintain that it's hard for LeBron James to move into the top 5 because those who cover the game probably had their favorites growing up. And to me, LeBron doesn't have to do anything else. He's going to, but I think he's one of the top 5 players of all time. And I'm talking about, I know it's hard to do generational, but I just look at what he's done, and, he's going to be in contention for an MVP and another title again this year. Would you allow LeBron to be a top 5 player of all time?
Yeah, he is, number one. And you're right, though. The players of the past are bigger than life to us. And it's almost impossible for us to ever move a current player in front of them. And so just statistically speaking and visually, since I was the coach of the Celtics and we had a 3-2 lead and I watched him score 45, he is in the top 5. There's no doubt. When you put in just LeBron has a different game. I mean, we're so used to seeing skill looking graceful. We're not used to seeing skill look so powerful. And so I think that rubs people wrong. But LeBron, statistically, championship-wise, he's one of the top 5 players to ever play the game.
He's Doc Rivers. They opened the season with a win over the Blazers. They got a game on Sunday against the Jazz. Joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Charles Barkley said Klay Thompson is the second best player in the league. What do you make of that?
Oh, boy. I think this is probably going to be my first time I ever disagree with Charles Barkley. That's not true. But Klay Thompson is a wonderful player.
Who's second best?
Well, who's first?
LeBron.
LeBron, right?
Yeah.
After that, it's a long line. I mean, it's tough to say a guy that's been the back-to-back MVP that another player on his team is better. That's a hard argument. There's a lot of guys. I can't even. I mean, there's so many guys in the league right now. The league's in a great place. So the fact that we can have these debates are great. Westbrook wouldn't agree with that. I can tell you that.
No. Well, Kawhi Leonard wouldn't either. I'm sure Harden wouldn't. I think there's quite a few guys that are there who could qualify for number 2. But I think LeBron. I mean, the fact that he thinks that Klay is better than Steph Curry was interesting as well. Now, he's a better all-around player, but I do think I can find a Klay Thompson. I have a hard time finding another Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It may be hard to find another Klay Thompson as well, but that still doesn't make him second. Dan, there's so many good players. I mean, I have several on my team that would put up an argument. So it's just a great time to be in the NBA.
We were looking at the list of guys who scored 50 in a game, and, there's some random guys.
Was I on there?
No. What was your career high? You were probably a 38-point guy or something?
Boy, that's pretty good, 37.
Oh, 37.
Did it twice.
But I think Jamal Crawford has gone over 53 times.
Yeah, you could see that.
He's a great shooter.
He's a professional scorer.
What was the conversation you had with Redick about where are all the white players? How did that conversation come up that you got to, well, I guess Kevin Love's the best white guy in the league, but where are all the white basketball players?
I don't know how we started it, but it was funny. JJ and I started talking about it, and, it's like, did they all go to the major leagues? Where are they? But they're coming. I mean, when you go to AAU basketball, there's all races playing right now with our young generation. And so you'll see more and more players from all different races, and that'll make our league better.
But do you also look at the style? I don't know if the NBA – are you trying to adopt what the Warriors do at all, that style? Can you?
No. I think the Warriors do that better than everyone else. And I think teams are making a mistake if they try to be the Warriors. You're not going to outshoot the Warriors. They have Durant, Curry, and Klay Thompson. So you have to be the best team you are. We have size, we have speed, we have athleticism, We can be dominant at times defensively. So we have to be us. Now, shooting is more important in our league than it ever has been. And you do need shooting. So you have to try to get as much shooting as you can. But you have to do it through the way you play, not the way Golden State plays.
You had this in Boston where you knew that window of opportunity was closing when you had the big three, but they were, later on in their careers. Have you gotten to that point with the Clippers with that window of opportunity closing?
We are young still. Chris is 31, and then everyone else is pretty young. So I guess the answer is no, but I've always entered the season with that, and I want my players to always think that answer is yes. You can never take a year for granted or your career for granted. And if you're one of those teams that has a chance to win, you better do it now. You can't think, well, next year. The team I use as a great example to that, Dan, is Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma made it to the finals, and everyone assumed that they would be back year after year after year. They never made it back to the finals. And so if you're one of those teams, and I do think we're one of them, you have to try to seize the moment because there may never be another moment.
Did you see that Westbrook and Durant maybe weren't friends? Because now we find out he didn't even talk. He didn't even tell Westbrook he was leaving to go to Golden State. As the opposing coach, did you ever sense that maybe they weren't buddy-buddy?
I didn't. I saw at times they didn't fit. We played them in the playoffs the one year and had a great chance to beat them and end up losing. And, you can just visually watch the way they played, that at times they didn't fit or get along playing. But I actually thought off the court they wasn't friends, but they got along pretty well. And actually, then I honestly think they probably did anyway. And I think at the end of the day, when KD decided to leave, I bet if he could do it over again, he probably would have told Westbrook. But that's not an easy leave. Let's say that.
Did you get along with all your? Was there a teammate? What happens if you don't like a teammate?
You play with them. I like most of my teammates. I'm sure there were a couple I didn't like, especially at times. I was a defensive player. So if you were just an awful defensive player, I probably didn't enjoy playing with you at times. Having said that, you still played with them. There's a value to everybody. The coach is not putting the guy on the floor if he didn't think he could help the team. And so you should try to just focus on what he did well to help, not the things he didn't do.
So you didn't like Dominique Wilkins at times?
I knew you were going there. No, I actually love Dominique. Actually, was a really good defender. He was selective, but he was really good.
He'd pick and choose when he wanted to play defense.
Yes, he did. But I tell you, he had to score a lot of points for us, so he was forgiven.
Hey, great to talk to you. Good luck this season, Doc. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Nice talking to you, Dan.
That's Doc Rivers, Clippers head coach. They got Sunday's game against the Utah Jazz. Continental Tire brings us the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. For any surface and every season, there's a Continental Tire that delivers superior performance, unparalleled safety. For more on this, from speedway to driveway, check out ContinentalTire.com. Continental puts you in the driver's seat.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.